Hello everyone, my name is Neomystic and welcome to this first video in which we're going to make ourselves a map. Now, I am going to use a couple of methods and during this series, because I'm going to make it into a series, we'll cover over modular map pieces, we'll cover over specific map pieces that you can't really make modular in a modular way. Well, you can try if you really want to. I just prefer not to do it because some models, some maps, you will need to make them more specific. Like, for example, the outside of a building. You can make that in modular pieces, of course, but if you want your building to be more specific and you don't really want to reuse and reuse and reuse it, it's better that you make it into one object. Of course, for things that you will keep reusing, reusing, and reusing, you don't need to do that. So we're going to do this in a very simple way. We're going to start with the modular pieces, then we move on to the not so modular pieces. We're going to make props like pipes and specific special stuff that we're going to add to our maps, and we'll see what else we're going to do. I'm going to cover um, the creation of the pieces. I'm going to go over the texturing of the pieces. I'm going to go over putting them together and why. I'm going to explain why I use this way. Now, I'm not saying that everyone uses my method, the one that I'm going to show you guys now. I'm just saying this is the way that I work, and for me this works the best. So you can use this, it's like a guideline, or you can develop your own way or whatever you want. So let's get straight into business. We got ourselves our starting cube. I just deleted my camera and my light. I'm also going to delete this cube because I don't need it. And I'm going to take a plane. Now first off, what I would like to make is I would like to make, let's think what I would like to make first. Haha, haha. Right, I'm going to go for a street. So a basic street, a basic floor, and I'm going to use this. Let's see, I'm going to append. I can't append in edit mode. I'm going to append my character. I think it's in Blender models. Yes, object dummy. So this is basically more like a sidewalk that I've got right here. And that's something that we need to make as well. Well, I'm going to make as well. SX2, this is kinda the size of what I would like my street to be. Now for my street, there's going to be many different options. This here has a car. Let's say the car comes from here to here, so that's more than big enough. And I'm also going to whoops, everything S on the y-axis times 2. So I have a kind of a square that's double the size that it normally is. I'm going to give it a cut here and a cut there. Now why am I doing this? Very simple. I am going to rotate this, rotate 180, just to make it simpler for me. And I'm going to grab this so the 0 point is over here. Now, to explain why I'm doing this is basically I want my map pieces to be in different shapes and sizes. I will show you guys what I mean. Let's drag this out. We're going to start by using this big cube, so you unwrap, and you can see it fills in the entire model. That's exactly what I wanted to do. But every now and then, and I'm going to Shift D this, I got my UV unwrap map. Sometimes if I have a corner, I don't want everything to be with these big modular pieces, so I'm going to halve it, vertices, and as you see, it gets half-sized on the map, well, on this thing as well. Okay, now that's still for some pieces too much, so I'm going to do this, vertices, and there we go. Now what you could also do is you can take a piece that's like this and you just go like this, make these two into a prefab, and then like this and make that into a prefab. I'm not going to do that because it will add a lot to my what's it called, my vertice count. Now I've got 2 triangles. If I do this 4 times, I'll have 8 triangles. Like here, I can take these lines, merge at last, and merge at last. Now, normally, if I do this, you unwrap, you see that it goes back to the full scale. Same with this one, I'm going to take these and to merge at last. Same over here, merge at last. So now for all of these, I have 2 squares. This is 2 squares, this is 2 squares, this is 2 squares. Now, this would be 8 squares if I do that, and this would be 4 squares. So that's adding unnecessary amounts of squares to our model. Okay, so we did that. We got our entire model done. The next thing that we will need to do is bring that into Unity. Or, of course, make other pieces like crossroads. Now, what I know is my crossroads, Shift D, my crossroads are going to be double the size of what this is. So I'm going to do this, drag this out by 4. And what I want to do for my crossroads is get it so it bends over just a tiny little bit like this. I'm going to add in 1 line and I'm going to put it on this edge. Control R, and you can see that it's not really on the line that we want it to be. So grab X, there we go. Nope, that's not the line that I want. This is the line that I want. Okay. I'm going to drag this down. And I forgot to do something. I need to take these 4 and do 1, 2, 3, 4. There. Now I need to drag this down. And I need to drag this up. Now, why am I doing this like the way that I'm doing now? I could also just take these little pieces if I wanted to. Just put these next to each other and like so, and then keep building on. That's a possibility that you could do. But I like this way more because, again, it will reduce the amount of vertices that I will need. Let's say 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is what I would need on this. 2, 4, 6, 8 on that one. Okay, maybe that would be better. So let's delete this one. Of course, the bigger object, it's easier to work with. So let's keep it for now and put it here. If you're working with blend textures, it doesn't really matter. And blend textures, I mean, if you're using textures that you're not going to reuse or whatever. But yeah, we'll see. Whoops, maybe I should just delete this one. I'm thinking in my head, what's the best way to do this? So that would mean that my crossroad would look like this, and I would have to use these guys to hook it on to the sides. So the next step, I'm going to delete these again. The next step is deciding which textures we want to give this object, these objects. So I'm going to start with this one, select it. I'm going to add in street plus line, and I'm going to make this 2 for 2048. 2048. I could actually do this for every object. I can make this one on the same object. It won't make any difference. Same with this one. I can put it on this object. And what I'm going to do already is I'm going to go to my material assignment tool. I'm going to press new, and I'm going to call this street, basically street as in normal street. Now I don't really want to do anything special. I'm just going to use blend colors, just the basic colors, and in here I'm going to apply our street line. The same for this. Didn't I change it? No? Okay. So street and street with material. Okay, I'm going to call this street. Now why am I doing this? You can see our character is kind of small. And what I would like to do is get a full line in here, and this just having part of a full line. Then for this one, again, over here, a full line as well. Now what I do need to do is Shift D, and I just noticed that I can't really do that, as x minus 1, because else it won't work, because if I rotate it, it's not going to look good. Unless I play with this just a tiny little bit and put like a line coming from here to here. But yeah, then this one isn't going to look good either. So there's a lot of not really mistakes that you'll be making, but there's a lot of planning that goes into this. So let's first start by giving this a basic color. T. I'm gonna make it, streets are gray, so I'm going to make it gray. I'm gonna up the radius, and I'm just going to fill this in gray. Like a really big radius. And later in another program, I'll be making the textures the way I want them to be. Okay, so the radius can go back down. This is just to show to you guys what I mean and how to work with it. And now I need a white texture. Now what I'm going to do with this white texture is not paint curve. Instead of space, I'm going to use line. Basically, I'm going to select this one. I'm going to go into edit mode, and you can see there's this line. Now, what I would like to do is get a line that goes something like this. So not completely full. And I want to do the same for this one and this one and that one. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take this one, I'm going to drag it all the way over here. I'm going to rotate it by 180. And I'm going to put it right next to it. Now you can see the lines are not adding up. Definitely are not adding up. It's good that we can fix that. We can go into the bigger object. We can go to, where is it? Instead of edit mode, we can go to texture paint. And now you can see that we can select the edge, drag it down over the edge preferably, and you can see that the line starts popping up. Now, the best way to do this is get out of edit mode, Shift D, drag this one up to this one, go back to your big object, and try to get your line in the way you would like to see it. So in my case, something like this. There we go. My line is filled in. You can see up here, it filled in half a line as well. So I'm just going to go and aim for the middle point, and I'm going to do the same thing. And that wasn't good. That wasn't good either. So you just have to find out what a nice point would be, something like that. There we go. Now you can select these two. No, not Shift D. What? I'm messing up. I love it when I'm messing up. S, this one. There we go. So I'm still on this object. Now I can do this to make the lines more straight. Of course, I should be doing that here first, like here. You can see my lines are starting to become more straight. Okay, so the same here. There we go. And there we go. It's not perfect, but I guess you guys know how it works. So now I'm going to select these two. I'm going to drag them up. And now we can do the other sides. So again, middle point to middle point, preferably in the right color. So middle point to middle point and middle point to middle point. Now again, the previous color and just aim to get it kind of right. If it's not right, you can always redo later. Kind of right, and come on, more, a little bit more. That's kind of right. That's not kind of right. There we go. So now, as you can see, that was strange. It showed up on the other side. So now, as you can see, if we select these two and we do Shift D and we drag them down, you can see we have our street. The same with this one. If we drag this one up here, we drag this one here, Shift D, rotate 180, and we put this one here, you can see that it just keeps going on and it's one nice looking street. It's not perfect, not at all, but we can always adjust that. We can always do this and drag a line straight down, or at least as straight as possible, and that will make everything look a lot more straight. We can also do that here on our object right here. So if I take this and I go straight down, if I can see that it is straight down, like so, you can see that it's more of a straight line. Of course, you will want to use another program and make things look better than you do it right here. But you can actually export this one, this image, as whatever you want to. I'm going to delete this one again, delete this one, delete this one, and delete this one. Rotate 180 and put them again where they belong. So like I said, you will want to export these guys as a specific object so you can use it later on. What am I saying? So you can adjust it later on. I'm not going to save this because this is just fast work that I'm doing, and I am going to use GIMP to make this look better. Oh, I'm very fast out of breath. So another thing that we need is a sidewalk for the player to walk on, which sounds kinda normal. And for that, again, we're going to use a plane. I'm going to go back to solid mode, and I'm going to drag this like so. Now I think that a sidewalk like this isn't going to be big enough. So what I would like to do is I would like to add one here, and I'm going to do the same over here. And again, the same thing. 3 pieces, but in this case we're going to add something more. In this case, now what am I going to say? A sidewalk you can have in different kind of ways. This one is going to be the normal one with one side having little longer lines and the other ones are going to be like smaller tiles. But I also want one for a corner, meaning I will need to take this side for this one, extrude it. You don't have to extrude it, but I extrude it because it looks better. So I have a better idea of what I'm doing. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Extrude it by 1. And I'm going to merge these, merge these at last. So that's going to be my sidewalk. It's a very thin sidewalk, I know. I mean, very thin border, but that's not a big problem for me. This means, of course, that I need to do the same on this one. There we go. So I've got my sidewalk. Now, why do I add this corner? As you can see, they're overlapping, and if I rotate by 90 and I drag this up, you can see they line up perfectly again. That's basically the only reason why I'm doing this, to make them line up perfectly. So Control Z, Control Z, and I'm going to drag this back to this place. You unwrap, you can see there's still room for that one border, which is on this one. You unwrap. Now this is mainly for my this is mainly for doing my normal mapping, which I will be doing later. But what I could do for this is add 2 lines here in the middle and make them add up with this line as well. There we go. And what you could do is you could make one longer or one shorter. In my case, what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this into one big piece, basically. But yeah, that's for the unwrapping, for the normal mapping. This is basically how you make your little map pieces. Like I said, I'm not going to save these because it doesn't matter for me at the moment. But this is how you make modular pieces. We made a street, and of course we forgot to do a little thing. A street is always a little bit higher than the sidewalk, so I'm going to put a street is always lower than a sidewalk. So I'm going to put this one a little bit higher, like that. Gonna do the same on this one. There. Again, selecting all these edges, and I'm gonna drag them down. So basically, you have your street and your sidewalks. Now, for your what's it called, crossroads, you decide yourself how you fill them in. I'm not going to put too much effort into that because I just don't want to. And then you also have roundabouts and stuff like that, but those will come at a later point when we're more advanced into doing this. For now, having a straight street, being able to make corners, that's basically the most important part. Because now let's put these aside for a second. Now what you can do is you can put one here. You see that the other one is bigger, but that's no problem because you can always cut this off, as you see. And just hold on, I should actually be cutting them off. One here and one there. I'm gonna put this one over here, and this one over here. Actually, I don't need to do that. I can just do it like this. Bases, no, vertices, X vertices, and this one down, X vertices. So we unwrap this one. You can see that this one is unwrapped as well. And you can see that this one is unwrapped as well. Now the same for the corner, but the corner is going to be a bigger problem. And now that I think of it, we don't need to do this for the corner, because the corner will the sidewalk will always be 3 wide, so we don't really need to change anything of the corner. That will always be 3 wide. Now what you can do is you can put this one here and this one here, and ta-da, this is what you have. Or if you want to have a corner, you can use this one, RZ minus 90. Oh, okay, RZ 90 then. And you can see you have your sidewalk with a corner. This is technically what you want to make. So if I do this, Shift D, this is going to be my crossroads, Shift D, there we go. And the only thing that I need to do is Shift D, RZ 90, and put this one here. And we basically have a corner to a street. So that's how you do that. In the next video, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on how all of this will end up, what this will look like. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some I'm going to make some normal maps in the next video, so we have a visual representation of what this is. But of course this is for Unity or Unreal Engine, whatever you're going to make. And I need to sneeze. Two. So I'm actually thinking, should I do that or should I wait with doing that? I think it's best that we have ourselves a basic. So in the next video, we're going to make our textures. I'm going to set up my Unity so you guys can see what's going on. And from there on, we'll advance. We also could make a special sidewalk if we wanted to. We can cut this off. B, there we go. And we can do this. Oops. And F and F. Like that. To make it look a little bit softer, which actually looks pretty nice, I must say. So I'm going to keep this like this. It will add a little bit to our texturing later on and our detailing, so that's a good thing. Okay, so we did this. I'm going to drag these ones back to where they belong. This one delete, and this one delete. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something. Give me thumbs up if you did, give me thumbs down if you didn't. And in the next one, we're going to add some normal maps, some textures to these models, some different textures so you can make your crossroads, basically. And we're going to make those into a prefab. I'll see you all in that video. Bye everyone.